Hey, so I have a random suggestion.
I have a really quick thing to tell you before I hit record.
Okay.
Because I don't want it in the episode, but I don't care if it's on YouTube. So I don't know of a way to make this work to involve you, but Mike got Hornswoggle to agree to do Leprechaun, whichever Leprechaun he was in.
The new one. Yeah, you mentioned it the last episode we recorded, and then I heard you mention it on Cast and Furious.
Yes. So that is supposed to be Thursday.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to bail though.
And the conditions and such, it's don't worry about me being a part of it if you can make it work.
Think you would mind. I still just wanted to let you
Oh,
know.
no, not at all.
And I meant to tell you last week, and then we weren't able to record and all that. But
no, totally get it, man. It's fine.
So what's your suggestion? That I wear less shirt?
Always. And more balls. But just dangle them around the room,
around
like a little gravitational pull mat in his universe of testicular fortitude. No, so I listen to very specific music. You listen to music that I don't normally listen to. And listening to Cast and Furious, you and Matt seem to connect a lot more on music than you and I do, which is fine. You know, it's not one of those things that, like, it doesn't affect us. But I miss that what you had with Rounds and Breakdowns for old pot listeners, is that you would bring music to that. And so I know this is not that show, but I do kind of think that the kind of music that you enjoy is also the kind of music, and excuse me, I'm chewing on a cough drop, is also the kind of music that a lot of horror fans enjoy. I don't know what the logistics would be because we publish to YouTube. Because we don't have any sponsors, I don't think the podcast itself would suffer from it. No. But it would be... I'm kind of like thinking, what if you did an introduction of a band or something that you like at the end of the show and kind of like do that as the closeout?
So because we don't monetize, I don't know if it would matter.
On YouTube, I wonder if it would matter just because it's copyrighted material. Like, you had a hard time getting your own copyrighted material.
But we were trying to make money.
That's true.
So because we're not monetizing, because there would be no financial gain to us.
Yeah. And we put this on our own channel too. We don't publish straight to GN.
Right. So I think because there's no financial gain on our end, the worst case, someone's going to be like, hey, can you just not do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what we tried to do with Rounds and Breakdowns was more like find unheard of local bands. And that's fucking difficult.
Oh, I'm sure. And it doesn't have to just be that, but I figure that there's a lot that you can bring to it. Just like you've been bringing the local wrestling stuff to it. There's a lot of stuff that you're into that, again, is not my wheelhouse, but I enjoy listening to you talk about those things.
Yeah.
And if it's a way to kind of like spread, I'm not going to say spread hate. That's
I thought that's what I played. I played it in my head.
Mm-hmm. But to get that stuff out there, you know.
Yeah.
Local bands especially, but just in general.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I did start recording, but so if you're listening to this, email us, PoT@gncast.com. Let us know if that's something you might be interested in, or if you're in a band. Something like that. But yeah, I don't think it would be difficult. It doesn't necessarily, like, now I'm in more these weird like Facebook groups about helping bands. I could probably get a bunch of music, but the thing is if I'm suggesting it, I want it to be something I like.
Right. And that's why I'm not asking you to do anything that you don't. And
no, Nate, I'm not saying you are. I'm just, so it's like there, we'll figure something out.
Like I could definitely suggest bands that I like, but that's going to really just bother people. I'm wearing my Xanadu shirt. And so like it's already its own problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that would be, there's something that I think that you bring to that is interesting and is being underserved by the fact that you don't have a show for that outlet anymore. And I don't see why it wouldn't fit here.
No, it totally would fit here. Horror and I don't only listen to heavy music, but horror and heavy music kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, everybody who adds me on Slasher is basically like, I'm a big horror fan, I'm a big metal fan.
Yeah.
It makes a certain degree of sense.
We're all the same kind of insane.
What am I? What the fuck am I?
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
What the
It's
fuck?
true.
Oh, so I'm watching the show Mythic Quest, which is an Apple Plus show that just came out with
Rob from It's Always Sunny.
Yes. I didn't know how to say his last name, so I was just gonna call him Mac.
McElhaney.
Okay. Isn't there an R in there somewhere? Not saying you're wrong, but I'm like, I think the R
In the
is-
Rob, I think there is.
Fuck you. Anyways, I watched an episode. No, I totally forgot why I brought this up. There was one episode of the show that like made zero sense to the rest of the season so far. It's very confusing. I forgot.
So, is this your first foray into the Apple Plus?
No.
Or Apple TV? So you watch some of their other shows that they've got?
Yeah, we watched Servant, the entire first season of Servant.
That's the M. Night?
Yes.
How was that?
It was not bad. It was a little weird. Like Ron Weasley's in it.
I like Ron Weasley.
Yeah, but with like a really, I don't want to say bad, because his accent was pretty fucking good, but it was like an American accent, and it was just really hard to take him serious. Where he's in like this thriller type series as not Ron Weasley.
He's made some really interesting choice. I mean, so is Harry, and
Yeah.
It's terrible that we're not using their real names, but you get who we're talking about.
Yeah.
They both made really interesting choices in the stuff they've done since those movies, and I enjoy them both in the stuff that I've seen them in. He was in the ABC Murders, which was a Hercule Poirot mystery miniseries that I think was on PBS in America, but I'd seen it on Amazon Prime, and he was the inspector at Scotland Yard that was kind of like a nemesis too, but gradually grew to respect Poirot. I cannot speak that French shit. And it was Malkovich. It was John Malkovich was playing Poirot in that. So yeah, and he was good. And I just, but he's done some other cool, weird stuff. Sometimes he plays a goof. I enjoy him a lot. So yeah, I would probably be more likely to check that out because of his involvement.
Yeah, I mean, like the second, I think they announced, or it's heavily rumored that there's going to be a second season, which is exciting to me.
Good. That's a good sign that you're interested in seeing more of it.
Well, I also know that they got sued, or they were trying to be sued by someone who had a TV show.
Said that they ripped it off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember reading something about that.
By someone who had yeah. Sorry, the chat didn't come up. It says disabled, so I went to open the live video and I wasn't quick enough to mute it.
That's all right.
In case you heard me twice. So because I like, I bet Beatmaster's in here and I missed the whole music conversation with him. So he thinks that copyrighted music can get blocked even if it's monetized.
Demonetized.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I worried about. And it's not surprising at all. And that's what I want to avoid it, but I don't care. I don't really give a shit.
Or we just talk about it.
Yeah, but I feel like
you can play.
Just let it be the play out. Like when you do the edits at the end of the show, just we talk about it as we say our goodbyes. Then you when you edit this thing together that I know you spend 15, 16 hours on every week, that you throw the song on the edits for just the listenership.
We could do that too.
YouTube gets screwed, which is usually just what happens to people who publish to YouTube.
Yeah, but the number of people I think people listen to this. They don't really like the only people that watch it are like Beat and Eric, like the same people that are normally there.
Yeah.
I think if they really wanted to hear the song, they would go listen to the episode anyways. So I don't feel like we're gonna be really losing.
No, I feel that way as well.
Yeah. So.
And it's we got to play YouTube's rules to publish to YouTube. But I guess you could always, if the bands have a Bandcamp or something like that, you could put a link in the notes.
Yeah, very easily. Yeah.
Adding another 4.5, 5 hours to your very busy schedule.
Certain bands always block Rick Beto and the other musicians, other music reviewers on why YouTube get hit with those all the time. Yeah, I don't. It's like such a weird fucking slippery slope. Like
YouTube's a fucked up place, man. It's well, no, I mean, yes, it is. Their rules are very arbitrary and change a lot, and for weird reasons they don't explain well, and they don't have a direct line open for most of their creatorship. Every once in a while, you get somebody who gets some cool sponsorship by them, and they can get the ins and outs, but then they get screwed over too, and then they go over to Twitch or Mixer or whatever else. But it is copyright material is on the internet is a tough business to be in.
Yeah.
You know, when things seem like, oh, this is really advantageous. You know, Taylor Swift's got all these listeners on Spotify, and Taylor Swift's like, yeah, I get dick all from Spotify, so I don't want Spotify to have it. And then a few months later, she's like, oh, Spotify's made me this great deal, so I love being on Spotify now. But it's still like this, it's just as closed off to the normal person as anybody else because, yeah, you can get your stuff on there, but you can't necessarily get listenership just from discovery, and you don't get actual money from it in the way that you used to. It's fucked with YouTube ads and everything else getting really screwed up. Because people like the game the system. And if you have unclear arbitrary rules and a system that is just begging to be gamed, then that's going to happen all the time. And it's going to make it harder and harder for people to actually make a business out of it. So you should always have your own place. But as fans, the best thing you can do is offer up like, hey, I like this thing. You should check out this thing. As a review show, we kind of are doing that, except we also will say when things suck.
Yeah, we had this conversation yesterday at practice. He's not, he quit our band now, but JR came to hang out, and he's a Browns fan. We live in
so he already likes things that suck.
Yes.
I just assume that's where you're going.
No, not at all. But he was so it's hard for him to see a lot of the Browns games because they'll play the Packers if the Packers are on at the same time. So he would call and try to get NFL Sunday Ticket. But to get NFL Sunday Ticket, you have to have DirecTV come out and explicitly write a letter saying that you are unable to get DirecTV for whatever reason. Then the NFL will sell you a $350 streaming package for the season. And I'm like, that's so fucking expensive. Like, make it $20-$25 a month. You're still paying. So say you have it preseason through the Super Bowl, that's 8 months. So $150, $200, something like that. Like, I bet you would get a lot more people, especially with people who are cutting the cord and shit.
Yeah, but the cost of entry of sports is ridiculously high. Like, look how much it costs to do a pay-per-view event for WWE. Until they got their own system.
Yes.
Right.
So even UFC, which is we watched last night, you have to have ESPN Plus, which is $5 a month, and then you have to pay, I think it's $65 or $75 for the event on top.
Yeah, it's all these treacherous bridges to get to this one thing. It's like living in San Francisco.
Yep, and they figure, and then they wonder why people are always going above and beyond to try and stream it, or post streams or steal it or whatever. It's like if you made it a little less costly and easier to get to, I bet people would pay for it.
That is the entirety of streaming stuff in general. That's what YouTube was based off of. That's why they had their stuff undercut for so long. That's why Apple's giving away the first year of Apple TV for free. That's why Disney is $7 a month, and then you get a deal if you get it with their Hulu and their ESPN. Oh, ESPN, another thing that's all fucked up. Yep. But these packages and stuff are what cable companies live off of. They're what all these ISPs and stuff live around. It's a bunch of crap because for people who don't want it, you still wind up paying for it. And people who do want it pay a ton for it. It's weird, but people will pay that for sports.
I think we're getting to a point where not as many people will pay it for sports. Like you'll always have people that will pay whatever.
Right.
Um, but I'm kind of to a point where like we only have live TV so she can watch the Packers. Which if NFL had a streaming package that didn't black out local games for $20 a month, I would probably just do that for the football season instead of trying to figure out which streaming service gives me locals because I'm too lazy to figure out why my antenna doesn't work, and then continually switch because the prices keep fucking changing.
But that's why NFL gets all those sweet ass deals from Comcast and DirecTV and all those other things because they don't do that.
Right.
And live sports, like we always talk about we used to talk about the water cooler shows, the things you're going to have to talk about on Monday. Like you have to watch it Sunday night because everybody's talking about it on Monday and you're going to be the one that missed out. Fuck that. I can't go on Twitter because someone's talking about The Walking Dead. I haven't seen The Walking Dead yet. That's really gone away. Occasionally.
But so a couple weeks ago, when we played that show, it was the same night as the Conor McGregor fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all in one place in a bar with TVs with sports on, trying to make sure that we don't know what the fuck happens till the next morning. And that was fairly difficult.
Yeah, sports is the one thing that's still water cooler.
Yeah.
A live event matters.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I agree. And I don't know. I just like this conversation. It'll be a revolving door always, trying to figure out, what is the best method and how you should do it. And it'll continue to evolve and change based on what people will spend and all that shit. But
Well, I've got a very simple answer for you. Is the XFL on the WWE app?
it's not. It's on. We were actually watching an XFL game earlier. It's on Fox, and then the afternoon game was on ESPN, and then one of those was on CBS.
But all of those have their own streaming apps, right? Like you can get XFL wherever you are. It doesn't matter that, like, you can't get it in Cleveland because you live in Boston or something.
No. I think it's as long as you have Fox or CBS. As long as you have Fox or CBS, like live TV, you're fine. Like you can watch it. Same with ESPN.
It did just sound like a better reason to support local.
No, I agree. Feel better, Beat said he's getting dizzy. He's going to bed.
Yeah, I just saw that he wasn't feeling sick over the weekend. That shit's going around.
Yes.
It's hitting here again, and I'm like, I fucking hated it the last time. It wasn't that long ago, and I've never felt recovered. But now here's swipe number 2.
Yeah, there's the guy sitting next to at work. Like one of his kids is always sick, so I just expect him to never come to work.
You just pearl him as he walks in. You make him sit in a bunny suit.
He probably would if I asked him
to. Bunny suits are what they call the hazmat suits, hazmat style suits in factories and stuff. At least it's people I know who work in factories will call them that.
You were making a joke about dressing up as a rabbit.
I mean, I would never joke about that. That's too hot. Hey, Matt.
Yes.
What are you scared of this week?
The fucking weather.
The fucking weather. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Well, I mean, it was last weekend. It was 45, and today it's 20 degrees, and I think we got 10 inches of snow, which is now coming your way.
Yeah, we've got this shit where it's like it doesn't matter. It stays in this range between 20 and 40, but you'll see days where it's like 28 degrees and it's not cold enough to snow, and then it's 38 degrees and it's snowing like fucking crazy. And there's no rhyme or reason to it, and it's just back and forth. And the days is like, hey, it's not supposed to snow today, and you look outside, like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, it is that time of year. It is still it's almost mid-February for us. I don't think you're truly out of the woods until like mid-March, but I was excited. I was like, I feel like we've turned a corner.
Fucking groundhog was on our side for a second there.
Well, and he may still be.
Yeah.
I would be fine if it's like 45 degrees until June. As long as it doesn't snow and the snow eventually melts.
I mean, we know that's fucking up our planet, but still, I got to drive to work.
Yeah, I know. Like, I got shit to do.
God damn you, polar bears. I understand your plight, but my commute is already 45 minutes. I don't want to make that an hour and a half.
I couldn't watch my boyfriend wrestle today because of the fucking snow.
Yeah, that's a harsh mistress.
Ooh, my echo keeps picking up when I say weird things. But it is what it is. Like even he said his drive there sucked, and it's like a half, probably about 35 minutes for me on a good day.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at probably hour 15, and my dogs are barking.
And your dogs are barking.
Yep. So it is what it is. It's time of year. Nothing new.
I'm afraid of
I didn't ask you yet.
I know, but I don't wait for you.
Corey, what are you afraid of?
I think I know how my wife's going to kill me.
Oh shit.
So this sweet, wonderful woman, my wife Erin, I love very, very dearly, and who I've been with for over 20 years.
You think is about to kill you?
I know she's going to kill me. Don't let me paint a picture of her that's too flattering, because that sweet, wonderful girl who's sitting downstairs on the couch bed I made her, watching Anna Green Gables so that she can like weather this earache that she's had for the last couple of days, is plotting my death. And I know that because I'm way too valuable dead, and because there's too many suitors who want my wife. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it, but I want to know how it's going to happen. And there are little things that I pick up on. So one thing that I figured out this weekend is that I'm a bagel person, and I'm a Lender's Bagels person, because they were just always available to me as a kid. You know, I don't live in like New York or wherever. And I have for the last year or so, like we stock up on bagels and we forget that we have bagels and we don't eat the bagels and the cream cheese is bad or whatever else. But I keep looking at the bagel packaging and like, why doesn't this have an expiration date? Like there's a freshness date on bread. There's a freshness date on tortillas. There's all these other things have the date. Why don't bagels have a freshness date? Well, I went to make Erin some of her onion bagels last night, and the little white clip that goes to keep the bag together, that's where the freshness date is. Now, what do you think my wife does with every loaf of bread, everything of bagels, everything? That clip is gone.
Yep.
It is just there. She is just throwing those things away so that eventually I will poison myself in a bad bagel. That is what I think. Convince me otherwise, Matt.
I can't.
No. Getting me through what I love the most.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I guess I have one loaf of bread. I don't really eat bread that often, so a loaf lasts me a long time. I keep it so long I have to keep it in the fridge, otherwise it'll mold.
Yep.
So, like that's the life I live. And I keep the white clip on it until it gets really close to the end. Then I will get rid of it because you're just raveling up so much that it's difficult to contain.
And do you eat the ends of the bread?
I do. I'm not a monster.
Yeah.
A bread really exists as a vessel for eggs for me. Like I don't really eat sandwiches. I really only eat it for breakfast. And I only make eggs and eat bread for breakfast when I don't have to work.
Yeah, I had those breakfast handheld sandwiches at work every day. And then this last week I've been helping out a corporate for my company. And so it's a completely different craft area. They don't have what we have over at our new building, the nice shiny happy place. So I went in there and I've been like, I'll get a bagel, I'll get some cream cheese, I'll get a banana, and then finally, like halfway through the week, I saw, well, they're making fresh eggs for people. They've got bacon and stuff here. So I asked, can I get this on a bagel? Can I have like a bagel, egg, cheese, and bacon sandwich? They're like, yeah, if we got it, we'll make it for you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. You're corporate, you know.
Yeah.
These people kill. So I started doing that, and then like the Friday when I was there and I got it, some people who work in that building, they were looking behind me like, what is that? And the chef's like, well, it's a breakfast sandwich. Well, why does it look so weird? Because it's on a bagel? You can do that? Yeah, apparently you can do that. So I've left my mark on corporate.
I feel like if you are at an a la carte style place, it shouldn't be so surprising that you can do something like that.
Yeah, but at my last job, one of the people we work with, Tom, would always say, well, they've got all the ingredients, they can make it. Like, yeah, but we're at the Taco Bell. They're not gonna make a flambe of whatever. Like, they'll accidentally burn something, but they're not making stuff just for you. Like, yes, they've got something that is appearance is similar to hamburger, but at the same time, the Taco Bell / KFC that I used to go to, I used to have them take the barbecue chicken and do it in a wrap So the KFC side and the Taco Bell side, I'd have them mix up because I knew the manager there pretty well. He was always chatting with me and stuff. So yeah, I guess you can
Well,
technically. You just got to have it in.
within well, there's that.
Right.
And I think it's always within reason. Like, I'm not going to go to a steak restaurant that also has chicken on the menu and be like, hey, can you just make me a sandwich that consists of 2 steaks and then chicken in the middle?
Right.
Like, that's really obnoxious, but, say you're
Or awesome.
No, I mean, it sounds fucking terrific, but say you're at Chili's, and I've done this there, and there was like a chicken entree or something, and like the sides were mashed potatoes and rice, and I'm like, well, can I just get like broccoli?
Mm-hmm.
I just want chicken and broccoli. Like, you have broccoli, just substitute broccoli. And they're like, there's going to be an upcharge. I said, I don't fucking care.
An upcharge for broccoli.
Yep.
Probably because it's the only fresh thing on their menu.
Yeah, probably. So, like, stuff like that makes a little more sense than, like you said, going to Taco Bell and being like, hey, can you make me an omelet with taco meat?
Yeah, well, the things with like a Taco Bell establishment or a McDonald's is you kind of have to wonder how they're going to ring it up. But then you hear all things like the McGangbangs and other secret menu stuff. They can ring it up. They know as long as they get to charge you more, they don't give a shit.
No, yeah,
they'll make up a price. So the consistency is what's important. Is when you go there one day and it's $4.35, and the next day it's $5.72. It's the same thing.
It's happened to you?
No, but I'm just saying that's the question: is will there be a consistency of it?
So speaking of Taco Bell,
oh yeah,
they got some new items.
I was giving you your lead in.
It is February, which means Taco Bell has new items. They have released the buffalo chicken nacho fries, which you can get your paws on for $2.99. They also have the buffalo chicken nacho fries burrito, also $2.99. Looks like nacho fries are back too. Other than that, still got the
nacho fries are back,
and a cheesy gordita crunch box. Apparently, the $5 box no longer exists. It's $5.99. Whatever. I love Taco Bell. That's been your Taco Bell minute.
They've been advertising the hell out of their big nacho platter and having people fight over it. And
yeah,
I don't get that. I do like the idea of nachos wrapped up in a burrito. So it's because one thing of nachos is the delivery system is very harsh. And I'm not a nacho sharing person. Like my wife gets a lot of special treatment because again, she's gonna murder me. But like the sitting around at a dive bar with their nacho platter and sharing with 6 people. No, I have quirks. I have hangups. That's hitting on all levels of nuh-uh.
Did I ever? There was a place. It's reopened again, but it was a music venue called the Metal Grill in Cudahy, which is a suburb of Milwaukee. But they served their nachos, and it was served on a tortilla. So it was like a pan with like a massive tortilla, and then the nachos were built on top.
Okay.
So when you get to the bottom, you just roll the tortilla up. Yeah. It was
smart.
Genius.
Yeah.
So genius. And they were really good too, because it was like the shit you'd make at home where you just like throw a bunch of chips on a plate and then cheese and you melt it. And it's like kind of crunchy because you melted a little too much in one spot.
The ice cream cone is like the best example of that, of like, here's this delivery system so you can carry this around with you, but also you eat the delivery system. That's great.
Yeah.
It's also akin to birth. I like that. I like to my snack at night is I'll get a thing of Nutty Bars, and then I'll get a paper plate and put a little dab of peanut butter on it. So I dip the Nutty Bars into the fresh peanut butter.
Okay.
Because I'm classy.
Yeah.
But if that paper plate was instead made of chocolate and I got to eat the plate after, then I'm just tripling down. That's great. That's a good idea.
I think it's all about being efficient.
I think it's all about being fat.
Just nobody likes being skinny.
It's not a happy life.
No, not at all. It's weird. So we practiced yesterday and then made a bunch of food and drank a bunch and watched the UFC fight. And it's like this running joke that I bring casseroles because like when we started doing it, I'm like, well, what do you want me to bring? And Nate, who's our singer, was like, I don't know, bring a fucking casserole. So I did. So I brought like cheesy potatoes. Yeah, so like I stepped it up where I mixed in like the Munchies snack mix with the potato chips.
I don't know if you felt my pulpit shifted because the wood pushed it forward when you said
Like the
cheese
lighting,
casserole.
the lighting drastically changed. Something happened over there. And then to up the game, or up the ante, I smoked cheese. Like I made a cheese sauce, smoked it, and then made macaroni and cheese, and sprinkled it with pork rinds.
By the way, I don't want to live in falseness. There's no way that my penis makes it past my belly fat ever. So no matter how excited I am,
Oh, you're being too modest about your foot long hog you got there.
it's still like a 2-foot cave that it lives in.
God damn it! What is it, Babe?
That is not about my wife. Please don't murder me. Please
Babe.
don't murder me this week. I got shit going on this week.
I'm still talking about your dick.
I know.
If your wife kills you, then
It will live on forever.
oh, I was just gonna say I'll be on my way over.
We will plunge it into the waters, and the lady in the lake will take care of it, and then one day she'll bear it forth to the new king of England.
Cleanse yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah. Take Corey Shaft and be king of all Britons. Which is funny because I'm not even British.
Weird turn.
Yeah.
Weird turns.
Speaking of weird turns, this movie we watched this week was called Freaked.
So I had never heard of this movie before. And
how did you discover this?
That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Previous guest / my wrestling boyfriend Randy is like, "Hey man, can you get your hands on this? I'd like to watch it." And then I read the description and I'm like, we could probably do this on PoT.
I would also like to say, can you get your hands on Kate Winslet? Because I would like to watch her.
I'll try.
Yeah.
See if I can kidnap her.
Mm.
But yeah, so he wanted it. That's how I first learned about it, and I forgot. I didn't like. I knew when I first looked it up that Alex Winter was in it, and Randy Quaid, and Mr. T, and Brooke Shields. But I forgot until I started watching it.
Yep.
And like Alex Winter is going to be at Flashback Weekend in July in Chicago, so it's like I intend on getting a photograph with the guy. So I'm like,
well, it's Alex Winter, so he's actually already been there. That's a Bill and Ted's reference.
Oh.
Everything's Alex Winter is Time Machine. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Have you seen Bill and Ted's?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I'm like, I got to rewatch them because it's not ringing a bell.
Oh, God.
It's my favorite line of "String things are afoot at the Circle K."
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
That's okay. I do want to say
it's still snowing. Oh, it's just blowing. Okay.
It's just yeah.
Sorry.
I think when you mentioned Freaked, I had misidentified the female lead as Christy Swanson, which I might have believed that's who it was at the time because I hadn't seen her in a lot of stuff. But this was Megan Ward, who was in PCU, among other things.
Okay.
She's one hanging with a pre-frosh.
Yep. I had honestly never ever heard of this movie, but it's so fucking outside the box and obnoxious that I was really a fan. Like
I knew you were gonna love this one.
When that's because I'm like a sucker for dumb comedy.
So, and I'm gonna go with you and say I love this one too, but I had watched this a lot in the 90s.
That makes sense. But like when I can't think of the guy's name, but he's the owner of the company. He goes, "Let me ask the board," and he fucking pulls the thing, and all the hands go up, and you just very clearly see that they're all tied to a board. And then at the end, when he has them clapping,
William Sadler, yeah, the guy who plays Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and is going to be playing him again in the new Bill and Ted's.
I didn't even realize that. I knew I knew the name from somewhere.
He was the sheriff on Roswell, which I was a big fan of in the first couple of seasons. Third season was rough, but I still enjoyed it.
I never ever saw it.
Well, I'm a teeny bopper, which I assume you have to be to watch those pre-CW CW shows.
Mm-hmm. You should be proud of yourself.
No, that's exactly what I'm not.
Yeah, it's okay. So
yeah.
So this movie is about former child star Ricky Coogan, who's offered a lot of money to do something. What is it, Phyllis?
To promote this, we'll just
Zygote 24.
Zygote 24, yeah.
Okay, and they ship him off to a different country.
It's for this company called EES, Everything Except Socks, which is the pre-Amazon Amazon.
Everything except shoes.
Shoes, that's right.
Yes.
There, I forgot the socks come in later.
Bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're trying to, like, my favorite part is they're like, we'll give you $2 million. It's like, I don't know. And they're like, how about $5 million? And they just have these pre-printed cards with the numbers on them.
Yeah. You should just be looking at the cards, like how many more in the stack. Like, how much do I hold out?
Can I ride this out? So yeah, so he obviously accepts the money and goes to the South American town of Santa Flan.
Named after the sweet treat.
Good old Flan. And then while they're on the flight, you find, what's the guy's name? The little kid that follows him around.
It's Stanley or Stubbly or
something weird.
Something with a st.
Yeah, but it's very like on the nose slapstick style comedy where it's like, well, if you look out the left side, you'll see the Grand Canyon, and out the right side, you'll see a gremlin, and it's the kid.
Yep.
And all he wants to do is get Ricky's autograph.
He's his biggest fan.
Yeah. I should point out that at the beginning, it's an interview of Ricky, and you just see like his
outline,
and it looks like he's got some plant growing out of him type thing. And he's telling the story as the movie goes on.
Being interviewed by Brooke Shields.
Yes. So they arrive in Santa Flan, and they run into a group of people protesting the Zygote 24. Ricky acts like someone else. He wraps himself up like a mummy because he thinks one of the protesters is cute and tries to impress her. And then they begin, I don't know, flirting.
Which is funny because Megan Ward plays one of the people who's getting protested at by the people in PCU. And there's also, there was ties, they have a Parliament, P-Funk, on the soundtrack for this, who was a big feature in PCU. These are things that I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe this is where decisions were made about who was going to be doing these next movies and stuff.
That's possible. These probably came out about the same time.
Probably pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a statement about what it was like in the 90s. Protesting and college kids was a big thing.
It's a huge market.
Yeah. Now it's just on Twitter.
Yeah. So the two Kanjali, Julie, her name's Julie, thinking that they're environmentalists, like I mentioned, and then she agrees to go on a trip with them. She makes some comment, and then Ricky like rips off his bandages, and then she figures out that it's him.
And she said somebody's a better actor. I forget who it was.
Fuck, it was some big name actor too, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, big again at the time.
Yeah. For the time it was, and then he goes, "Oh, I can act circles around him or something," and whatever. As they're driving, they find Freakland.
Mm-hmm.
It is Freakland, and she gets like really weird, like very clearly slips off of her seat when she sees Freakland.
She's like way into it.
Yeah, and Ricky was like, I don't know, we should go down there. But they go down there because Julie wants to, and Ricky just wants to put his penis in her.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, let's call a spade a spade.
His friend does too, but
yeah, they both do. It's gonna end up in a menage a trois.
Literally does.
I know. Wasn't making it up. Yeah, so that's where they run into Randy Quaid, who plays Scuggs.
I think, yeah, Scuggs sounds right.
Okay. And then he wants to show them his special freak show.
Yeah. By the way, us not knowing the characters' names or anything is the exact amount of respect that this movie should be shown. We'll go with what sounds like it should be, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Knowing Randy Quaid, of course, obviously, like you know, a Gru and Zork is something you avoid in a dark space. Randy Quaid. It's a horror story that we're all told as kids. It's not a fable. It's an actual, like, you know, fucking watch your ass. Randy Quaid's around.
Is he known for getting after that butt?
I I would assume he went straight up to Stockholm in Independence Day, right? He just like hit that hole and dove right in and blew it up.
That's true. See, he said, "Fuck it, YOLO."
Yeah, that was not just a euphemism. That was a warning.
I didn't realize who Dog Boy is.
Yes, and I didn't want to spoil it for you last time, so I'm both glad that I didn't, and now I'm like very impressed that you didn't realize it while watching it.
Yeah. So they go to the freak show or whatever, and that's where he meets Dog Boy, which is Keanu Reeves.
Oh, first they get turned into freaks.
They get turned into freaks first?
Yeah, they get in the room. The Toad guy is the only one that they've met so far of the freaks, and then Randy Quaid's got them tied down and uses the Zygote. Yeah, uses the Zygote to merge Julian and the friend who's the elder brother on Blossom, and then he uses a bunch of it on Ricky Coogan, but he only does half of his body because he runs out of it. He runs out of the materials to make him like a full-on freak. I guess he was going to be his masterpiece. So then they go into, like, when he wakes up from it and he realizes what has been done to him, he's in the room with all the other freaks that we meet, and as we're introduced to him, that's when we meet the Dog Boy, who I hear, out of the $11 million budget, got paid $1 million to not get credit in this movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
He's not listed in the credits.
No, I had no idea it was even in here.
But according to IMDb, he got $1 million to be in the film, and that would be Keanu Reeves.
Wow. Good for you, bud.
Yeah, and you know, Keanu's career at that point in time was a different trajectory than what Alex Winter's was. Although he was still doing terrible performances in things like Coppola's Dracula and A Walk in the Clouds. Yeah, not great stuff from Keanu, but he was definitely more popular, and he was on the rise. This is not only pre-Matrix Keanu. This is pre Johnny Mnemonic Keanu. So.
Oh yeah, Johnny Mnemonic came out in 95. PCU came out in 94, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, April 29th, 1994.
This movie is listed as coming out in 94, but was made a couple years before and was kind of shelved and went through a lot of process and stuff because the guy who was into it at Fox got fired when Rupert Murdoch came in and put his own guy in charge, and the new guy's like, oh, I don't think this movie is good at all, and just kept taking budget stuff away. So they had like this whole big thing with the soundtrack of like was it Iggy Pop or was it? No, it's Henry Rollins, I think, is on there. But the Butthole Surfers were a big part of it because it was supposed to be a movie about the Butthole Surfers at one point. And a bunch of other people were all on it, and they like pulled way back and kept scaling back on it and everything and took away the promotion. So it only got released in 2 theaters in the US and made like $6,000 or maybe 60,000. I don't know. It was not a lot compared to what it needed to do. So
29,296.
Yeah, so probably worldwide, 60,000. It was it's one of those things, man. You know, somebody's pet project, and then the guy who likes the project goes away, and suddenly you're in the middle of like, well, what the fuck happens to what I'm doing? Nothing. We'd like it to be nothing.
Yeah, it was a super weird movie, but
it was supposed to be more serious and more terrifying originally, but I think it got revamped a couple of times and came out of when Alex Winter was doing this weird show on MTV for like a season or so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh.
And it was all this kind of bizarre, weird ass humor. Which I gotta say, you know, Matt loves this stuff, and as I'm watching, I'm like, oh, Matt's gonna really, really like this. But I enjoyed it a lot in this too, and I think it's just because maybe at the time, I don't know, but there's the part where they're telling the origins of each of the characters and how their tragic backstories are. You know, I came up and I was here to study worms, and then he turned me into a worm man. And Bob Goldthwait was there as like he was a tourist, and then they turned him into a person with a sock puppet for a head.
Yeah.
But it was actually a hand under the sock, so he's faking. But then there's the scene where they show the hammer laying on the ground, and its memory flashes back, and it used to be a wrench, and it changes, and everybody's crying like, "Oh, that's so touching."
Oh my god, I love that. I'm like, this is so fucking stupid, but it's so good.
So fucking stupid. It
Mhm.
kind of at points reminds me of the movies by Savage Steve Holland, like Better Off Dead, and One Crazy Summer, like the really weird stuff. Like he would just do horrendously funny shit that didn't make any sense in with the rest of the movie, but it all just kind of came together and worked really well. Have you ever seen Better Off Dead?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna highly recommend that one to you. It's not
Really?
movie for the show, but I highly recommend that to you.
What is it about?
It's about a guy whose girlfriend breaks up with him, and so he keeps trying to kill himself.
Who's in it? Oh, John Cusack's in it. Okay.
John Cusack,
Okay.
and
I've never seen it, but I've seen like bits and pieces when it would be on Comedy Central when I was younger.
damn, great movie.
Hmm.
And Savage Steve Holland is absolutely like one of my. If I was going to make a film, that's someone who would be on my emulation list of like who I'm going to draw inspiration from. Savage Steve did Eek the Cat, the cartoon series,
Yep.
which is also great. But yeah, so he meets all the freaks, and they put him in the freak show with everybody else, and they all have their little vaudevillian show bits that they do. But he goes against. He's supposed to be wearing like a cave boy outfit, and instead he comes out and he does Shakespeare, and impresses everybody in the audience, including one of the people from EES is there, who he thinks is there to rescue him. And he goes out and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm glad you guys are here. You know, you're gonna take care of me." And the guy's like, "No, we're divesting our interest in you. You look like shit." And so he murders the guy and freaks out everybody in the place, and they all go running out. We get a Larry Bud Melman cameo for anybody who used to watch uh, Dave Letterman. See, that's what I love is that you don't get a lot of the references in this.
No,
It
yeah, there's a
it
lot
is
of them I didn't get.
it is a film that is of its time so much, not in the same degree as like those scary movie things where they're doing parodies, and the parodies are just for that moment, and then they started doing all the other parody movies that just got worse and worse. And it's like, here's the parody of Britney Spears shaving her head. Like, okay, yeah, general public may remember that, but it is a one fucking moment. And what if she had actually killed herself? Then we have to fucking deal with that for the rest of our lives. Like this, we made this movie where we talk about Britney being crazy, and the next week, oh shit. I mean, we sold a lot of tickets.
Yeah. It's a lot of tickets in 1 week.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm glad that you liked it without having those references, but then it's not like
Yeah.
the whole thing hinges on Larry Bud Melman
No,
being.
God no. There was I mean there was like obviously after Alex Winter's character gets half of him gets turned into a monster, a freak, whatever you want to call it. I had a lot of problems with that because obviously he had to overdub everything, so I thought it sounded really shitty. But
Yeah.
that's like a personal complaint, and we're also talking about a movie from the '90s, so this isn't like a legitimate thing to be upset about.
And with the budget of what it had, the stuff that they did do was pretty good. Like the two characters merged together was like that. They did a good job with that. All things considered, like they could have made it a way worse. I think there was the Farley brothers movie with Matt Damon where he was conjoined twins with I don't remember who.
Fuck, I gotta look this up.
Greg Kinnear, I think.
Yep. Twin movie. Chinese. Stuck on You.
Oh, I thought it was just called Embarrassment for Matt Damon.
Oh man, I feel like I watched it once.
I've never been able to sit through that one. There are a few movies like that came in around the time. I never watched Me, Myself, and Irene.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Yeah, but yeah, I've never seen Shallow Hal.
I don't even remember if that one's any good.
I'm sure it's of its time.
I'm not curious enough to go back and watch any of these for what it is worth.
I'm gonna push you on Better Off Dead though. I just feel like I have to. So yeah, so the story keeps going on. Alex Winter's character starts having visions of the troll kid that like he's talking to him telepathically, and the cowman is basically saying, "Oh, well, that's because he's your soulmate," and he's like, "No, that sucks. I don't want this kid to be my soulmate." But he does utilize the contact to get the kid to go and tell his story, to say, "Hey, Ricky's been kidnapped and turned into a freak, but nobody will listen to him. They keep throwing him out windows, the window doors, until he gets to the Weekly World News." Wow, that's like a show we used to do. And 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 they're like, "Yeah, we'll take that story." And he's like, "Great." And they go, "Let me show you out." He goes, "I know the way," and he jumps through the window. Uh, it's like that kind of dumb humor is what you're dealing with here. But as soon as the kid like sees a story appear in the paper, the people from EES come and grab him and like are trying to hold him hostage to, I guess, because he got information or something. I don't know exactly why they kidnapped him, but they do bring him to the freak land.
Idiot Box was the name of the TV show that Alice Winter was on?
Yes.
Sorry, I was trying to find it the whole time and just kept getting sidetracked.
I watched The State, which sounds very elitist, but then I also did watch a little bit of The Brothers Grunt, and I don't feel good about it.
I think you're making all of this up.
The State? The State's fantastic. The State is where a lot of great comedies even now came from. Like Reno 911, most of it, people from The State.
TV show or a movie?
Both. Are you talking about The State? The State was the show. It was a sketch comedy show on MTV. Thomas Lennon, Kathleen Kenny, a bunch of people who make the films and stuff you like.
Okay. Yeah, no. I wanted to make sure I found the right one.
Oh yeah. No, that is some prime ass comedy. In fact, there was a moment where Alex Winter was trying to describe the plan of how to get everybody out of there that he came up with, and he talks about breeding sea monkeys and giving them weapons. And I'm pretty sure that was a joke ripped off from The State.
Huh.
But we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, where are we at?
I don't know.
The plot is not thick in this.
No. The cow told Alice Winter that the gremlin kid is his spirit animal.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah. So they bring the kid. So the Ricky goes and they break into the place to get. So I guess Randy Quaid's character is going to turn Ricky fully into a monster, and then he'll kill all the other freaks at the show, which should be big business, but you can only do it once, said Daffy Duck. So they go to steal the stuff and instead turn him into a monster that will kill Randy Quaid, which is what it would take. We all know. And in doing that, they lose track of the material that's going to turn him into a monster, but instead he brings back a bag of macaroons because that's what he could get. So they try to get the troll kid to go and get the ooze stuff to turn him into the monster, and the kid tries, but instead he gets brought to the show, and they turn the kid into a giant monster, into like the 7 foot tall monster character, and he fights off the Rastafarian eyeballs.
Decide if I loved or hated those guys.
They didn't use them a lot, so I think they used them just enough that you can enjoy them.
I agree.
And then they do get Ricky's character to turn into a full monster as well. So he and the troll kid fight each other as 7 foot tall monsters. And that's where I thought this movie kind of shined, because the creature effects for that were pretty good. Like the designs and stuff and how they had them. They were akin to what they fought in the Guyver movies, kind of, with J.J. Walker. But all in all, they were not unimpressive for the amount of work and not realism, but just accomplishment of how they looked was pretty solid. And then they wind up teaming up instead because they're soulmates. And they the EES people turn and try to take all the stuff away from Randy Quaid, all the materials and stuff they're giving the Zygrot. So he pulls out a bazooka that he grabs from this thing, like, break glass if you're being betrayed by the people who gave you all your stuff. He pulls out this bazooka of the goop and shoots them with it, and they all turn into a giant fleshy shoe.
Yep.
Because that's the one thing they were missing.
That is
just like Amazon, if you turn them into something with a giant lot of goop, would turn into a soul. Haha, it's that kind of commentary that brings you back to PoT every week.
I love Amazon.
I know, we all do. They're terrible. They're terrible for us. They're terrible to us.
I'll never forsake you, Amazon.
Yeah. Overnight shipping.
Unless you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm always impressed, like, yeah, they're not going to get that here in 2 days. And then it's like here in 1 day. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Did I tell you that I tried the Amazon locker?
No.
Yeah, it was for the novelty of it, but I'm like, it's a pretty slick idea. Say I'm on vacation or something somewhere and I need something and I'm at a hotel and there's a locker in my hotel and I don't want to go to the store and I want it delivered to me.
It helps.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definite advantages to it. And I mean, I get the purpose of it is so your shit doesn't get stolen.
Yeah.
When you have time or whatever. But
which I will say, if you're really looking to have your shit not get stolen, is live across the street from a restaurant who just watches your stuff all the time on your front porch.
There's that. Or live in the middle of nowhere and have 2 cameras on your front porch.
That's Amazon cameras at that. Double whammed.
They're both Amazon cameras. Blink doorbell and a Ring camera.
Yep.
All
I know.
Amazon. So that's the end of the movie. Well, I guess the last big thing that happens in this movie is that they make some joke about how it's too dark on him, and then they turn the lights up. Oh, they found the antidote.
Yes.
Say that part.
So in the midst of now the 2 monsters have teamed up, they go to kill Randy Quaid.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, if you kill me, you won't find the antidote. And they're like, what antidote? And he's like, I baked them into macaroons so they'll slowly release over time. And they're like, yeah, they didn't have enough coconut. And they throw him into the big vat of the shit. Yep. And he turns into Brooke Shields' character, who has been interviewing Ricky the entire time in the movie. And so they go back to the interview, and then they turn on the lights above Ricky, and he looks normal now. And everybody else comes out, and they all look normal except for the worm guy because he doesn't like macaroons.
Yep.
I felt bad for Mr. T, because Mr. T was the bearded lady, and he felt like he finally found himself as the bearded lady. And so having him turn back, I don't know, I like that commentary, but that's very 90s.
Yeah, but I also think it was a joke that it was not fully thought out, because he could have just been like, no, I like being this way.
Yeah. But it would have lessened the impact of the worm being the only one who didn't change back because he doesn't like macaroons.
Exactly.
And then they find out that the woman who's been interviewing Ricky the whole time has been the freak show guy, because they haven't shown the lower half of her body, much like we didn't see Alex Winter in Delight to know that he's been turned back to normal.
Yep.
And then they go through the, oh, well, I betrayed you and now I'm going to kill you all. And then somebody shoots them from behind and they're dead. And then they come back to life to get revenge again. It's like, and they shoot them from behind a second time and they're dead. And then we get the reach out at the end. Very horror typical, but used in a funny way in this film.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's the end of the movie.
But we never find out what happened to the hammer. I mean, he did a couple of tours, and then his band stole all his money, and he wound up having to do car insurance commercials. And different hammer. Never mind.
This is not MC Hammer. This is just Hammer.
And this hammer also didn't hurt him.
Uh-oh. We should probably just decide if we would fuck, marry, or kill this thing.
Yeah. What do you feel?
I'd marry it.
Yeah, I think I sort of reaffirmed my love for this movie. I didn't think I would enjoy it that much going into it. Now 20 something, maybe closer to 25 years later since I'd last seen it.
Oh, I was gonna say because it came out 27 years ago.
Yeah,
So yeah, shit.
but I really like this movie.
Yeah, I definitely didn't dislike it, and I really went into it super blind. So I was all about it. What do you want to do next time?
Oh shit, putting that on me. That's harsh.
Sorry, I just thought of it.
Yeah, I know we are really good at planning for this show.
Mhm.
Uh, hmm.
I picked this one, so the next one is on you.
God damn you.
I mean, you don't have to give me an answer right now. I'm sure the same 7 people will come back next week, even if they or the next time, even if they don't know what we're gonna listen watch.
That's true. Most people don't watch the movies. I think that we do anyway.
Shit, I don't even watch half the movies we're supposed to.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
But
Yeah, I'll look. I'll try to find something that's halfway interesting. This is going to be hard to compete with.
I mean, it's a different level of movie.
Well, wait. Now is it possible that there's going to be an episode next week that I'm not involved in? Oh, that's not this week?
No, it's gonna come out on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that was my plan all along.
It's a good plan.
Thinker, not a stinker, or at least what is? Let me see. Well, St. Patrick's Day is a Tuesday, so yeah,
That's perfect.
yeah, it'll work really well.
And you'll be actively drunk. I just assume because it's a Tuesday and it's a day of the week.
I wanted to work the week before, and then we're recording the week after. So I don't know why any of that matters. There's a really good chance I'll be drunk.
If I'm going to lay bets,
when in doubt, assume
that's drunk.
Yep.
And surrounded by a galaxy of testicles.
Is it really funny that when I haven't drank in the past couple episodes, but tonight I'm like I'd like to. I don't know what you're doing over there. But I was like, you know what? I'll only take 2 because I need to operate a snowblower after that.
Operate a snowblower, also not a euphemism.
No, I really need to go snowblow my driveway.
That sounded more like one.
Beat my wife?
Okay.
Is that
better.
a better one?
That's,
Not a
I mean, sounds realistic.
No. We were talking about fighting before. And so there's a backstory. I listened to Your Mom's House, which is
what?
There's a podcast called Your Mom's House. It's Tom's wife.
Such an awesome name for a podcast. So I hate that I didn't come up with it.
Also has a podcast with his friend Bert Kreischer. It's called Two Bears, One Cave, which is also a great name. But they were talking about how their friend Ari Shafir made a comment about Kobe Bryant when he died, and there's all this backlash. So from that stemmed, there was, I think it was 2018, maybe earlier, but there was a UFC fighter called War Machine who beat the shit out of his girlfriend, who was Christy Mack, who's a porn star who ended up killing herself.
Oh shit!
Yes. So at the trial, a friend of War Machine's went, and he goes, "Look, I do not condone him hitting women, but him and I are very good friends from a long time ago, so I'm here to support him." And last night driving home from practice, a counter bass player was like, dude, this came up. He goes, I love you, but he goes, if you hit Alyssa to a point where you were in court, he goes, I would not stand by you. So Alyssa and I were talking about this, and she goes, maybe you'll accidentally give me like a black eye once or twice. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I don't think I could like hit you.
Only with my cock. Yeah,
if I give you a black eye with my dick, like we're okay. But I'm like, if my fist created a black eye on your face, like that, something is wrong. But then I thought about all the times where like I violently roll over in the middle of the night and like hit her in the face. Like I've done that, but it's never resulted in a black eye. But I've like accidentally hit her in the face.
Yeah, that's a different field. That's something of like at this point in time, she knows the risks getting into bed with you. Aaron and I have had a conversation similarly where Erin's a walking bruise. Erin just is always bumping into shit. She bumped into shit like 9 times last week when she was trying to clean, which I think she does on purpose so she won't clean. But she is like, if there's a doorknob or a foot for a table or just a wall, she's just gonna bang into it 1,000 times. So she made some joke about like, I'm gonna just tell people that you beat me. I'm like, people would never fucking believe it because you are just always bumping into shit. They know you've ruined the capability of like ever pointing anything at me. We could be out in the middle of the street. I could be standing above you with my fist raised, and people would go, "Huh, walking into a door, right?" Because they fucking know you. They fucking know. I would never ever intentionally hurt my wife or anybody. I'm like really weird. Like I had a conversation with Jack's friend Hillary because she caught a mouse recently, and I talked about how Christmas before last when we had mice in our new house, and so I got a humane trap that had peanut butter in it, and I kept catching mice in the middle of the night and then driving them 20 minutes away to release them into the woods far from my house.
When you said peanut butter in there, I assumed you kept catching your dick.
Yeah, well, sometimes. My trap was my dick. So lots of peanut butter. It was supposed to be creamy, but it always comes out crunchy for some reason. Anyway, so like 3 mice, like through the night. It might have been like 2 nights before Christmas, and then the next day, essentially, it might have been like 2 days later, is when we found Bean in our backyard.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of like the little reward for I could not kill the mice. I had a problem. We had a rat in our garage back in California, and I really fought with getting a trap that was going to kill the rat. I had a real problem with it, but I did it because I felt like rats might carry diseases. I had cats. I had my wife. We all used the garage. The cats didn't, but me and wife didn't. Dante or Gidget had gotten out the garage, I would have really flipped out if something bad happened to them.
Right.
So I got something that humanely killed, but still killed. And I never felt good about it. So with the mice, I was just like, they're just fucking mice. I'm just going to get something that, some cheap Amazon trap that worked really well. Worked too well because 3 times that night, I'd go and I took a drive out in the woods to drop off these mice. And I felt bad because it's winter and they were probably cold, but they are mice. They can find places.
So we have 3 cats in our other garage.
Yeah.
Like they can come and go as they please. And Alyssa was in there yesterday cleaning. And she sends me a picture. One of them just waltzed into the mouse hanging out of its mouth.
Yep.
That's kind of what we got him for.
Well, Gidget would never do it.
No, yeah.
She always talks shit to the hummingbirds outside through the glass, but she's not a little hunter. Bean, I feel like probably would and maybe even does because we have not had any problems with mice since. But
yeah. The one that had the mouse is named Stone Cold Steve Poston. It's a fucking killer.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's the greatest name for a cat.
She named one of the other ones Puma Thurman too. I don't know what the is, but
does she have really attractive feet to Quentin Tarantino? I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it hit all 3 notes of Tarantino that it just like 100% no, this is a Tarantino movie because here's a scene with a woman's feet for no reason. Here's another scene with a woman's feet for no reason. Here's the 3rd scene with a woman's feet for no reason. And then the scene of horrendously graphic violence towards a woman by a dude, which seemingly called for, but it still doesn't make it any less like you really like having these scenes. And then, of course, having a completely fictional ending to something that's supposed to take place in the real world.
Yep.
Tarantino.
Just
not a bad movie overall, but fucking Tarantino.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I didn't care for the movie, but
it was fine. It wasn't brilliant, and it really underwhelmed in how it ended. All things considered, it's just like, wow, fucking cheap, stupid ass. Whatever.
Yeah. On that note, I gotta go blow snow.
Yeah. Matt, where can people find you?
Instagram.
And you have 2 other shows, one that's on a hiatus and one that Magically wasn't this week.
Yep. Yeah, so Monster Madness is so the plan, because we record everything in advance, so the plan is to finish season 2 before we start releasing it. Erica and Dan do 100% of the editing on that one, and I know that they just life got in the way, so season 2
Sure.
got a little delayed, and I fucking literally am like, dude, I don't care. So we've still actively been recording it, and then when we're almost done with season 2, we're going to start releasing it. So I think early March, it's going to start coming back out again.
So you'll be drunk.
It's not gone. It's just it took a little longer for season 2 to come out. Cast and the Furious. Matt and I did a it's called Fast and Furious, so Fast 4 earlier this week. I'm hoping we're going to get back on like the once a month schedule. I know he's going to be traveling less this year, but we are trying to do a live show somewhere.
That's really cool.
The state of Indiana, in the city of Indianapolis. I need to reach back out to the proprietor of the location and just see what's going on with that. But yeah.
Nice.
Where can people find you?
Their
bushes.
I'm on the Slasher app as Captain Temerity. My wife is doing designs for the T-shirt contest they have going on over there. I do this show, and I do another podcast that if you are named Levi Krause, you listen to. And that's it. I'm doing a podcast for one person.
Is Elstern's back?
No.
So what's the other podcast?
It's a podcast specifically for Levi. I've done 2 episodes, and let me tell you about doing a podcast for one person, for a one-person audience.
It's probably really hard.
I retained 100% of my audience from episode 2 to episode 1. It's amazing. I received fan mail. I received fan art. It's really easy if I decide to get an advertiser to target my audience. Mm-hmm. This is the way of the future, is that we already do the show for like 7 people.
Yeah, right.
And if we lose one, we feel it. If you lose your one audience member for a podcast that is only for that one person, you can look at it as I only lost one person, or you can just not do the show anymore and you're okay, and you can just go on and like pick your next target.
Oh my God, I have a lot of questions and not enough time to ask them. Why?
It would be explained if you watch the podcast.
Am I able to watch it even though it is specifically for one person that is not me?
At this point in time, it is only for one person.
So how the fuck? This is that fucking episode of South Park where Cartman buys the goddamn the amusement park and no one can get in because
it's Cartman's amusement park. So here's the thing. How many times have I pitched Elts Nerds? Do you think any of our listeners went over to Elts Nerds? No, fuck no, they didn't. Brandon did. Brandon was the one. Brandon was my one person.
Levi said, Corey will do anything to not talk on the phone with me. You should just be this man's friend. Like, it sounds like he just wants to hang out with you and you want nothing to do with him.
Levi's the one friend that I've actually hung out with in Michigan twice. So, but he is the one who also makes all the effort. No, I'm Levi and I have been working. Let me rephrase. I came up with a comic idea about 15 or so years ago that I wrote a couple of scripts for Levi for, that much like doing a show with Matt Vincent, life got in the way.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get back to it now.
And you're responding to all of his questions in podcast format?
I am reading him the scripts.
Oh. Okay.
And I am also going over the inspiration and the stories behind the podcast and exploring the stuff, because it's 15 years ago. I need to take a look at these scripts and figure out if they still work for me as the writer or not. And so in doing this, it gives me the chance to explore and to help come up with where things are going to go after the 2 issues that I've written, because we'd like there to be more of it. So it was just something that I know Levi watches videos on YouTube as he draws. I'll do a podcast for Levi. And eventually I may release it as a kind of like bonus material for the comics
Yeah.
if and when they come out.
Yeah.
For an audience of upwards of 4 people.
Ooh, whoa.
Reach for the stars.
That bar real high.
Yeah. But man, I got to tell you, doing a podcast for one person, it really is kind of just the perfect situation.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times you do podcasts and you don't know who your audience is.
We've had those discussions over the past 4.5 years.
Yep. We're always surprised when somebody shows up and like, oh, I listen to your show. The fuck you do?
Yeah. Like,
Really?
someone does?
What?
All right.
Sometimes I just get mad and curses out on Twitter, but that's what Twitter's for.
That happened one time.
But it was so good.
Oh, it really was, and I still will never ever get over it. And I fucking do not like that person.
I know.
Um,
But if you did a show just for her, and it was just you just screaming fuck at the microphone the whole time,
it would be very weird.
Yeah.
Probably just me farting on a snare drum for an hour.
So how's your band doing?
Man. Good. We're writing music, and it's fucking super difficult. But
being creative is hard.
It's not easy. We're recording March 26th for 5 days. Hope to have the second EP out by June.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I gotta
And
try.
of course, you'll be drunk.
I will stay sober until my drum tracks are done. Everyone can deal with me.
Man, you know, if it worked for Tommy Lee.
Well, let me tell you this. The one good thing about being the drummer is the fact that you're done first. So, like, there is no sitting around and waiting and, like, you know what? I know that I am the first thing to get done.
They never come back to you and say, "Hey, can you redo this track because we went in another direction?"
No. So when we went,
you still got to be the base of what everything else is built on.
Well, so we the first time around, every song was done before we recorded. This time we're kind of a little different. Like, but we'll still have everything hammered out and like practiced before we get there. So there's no like we're changing parts around in the studio. That won't be the case. So it's just, hey, play each song 7 times, and then in the studio they do studio magic and piece the best parts together, and then that's how they make the track. And so the last time, like after the second day, I was done. It was just like two half days of playing the drums nonstop.
I bet you smelled glorious.
I mean, I did go home, so I showered, but yeah, it's just I don't.
But I've smelled you when you showered, and you still smell glorious. So
I don't exactly have like the easiest drum parts in the world. So playing a song 3 times in a row, like without a break, it's not easy. But it is what it is. Yeah. Matt wants.
You don't have one of those magic pedals that does like the double bass for you?
I do have a double bass pedal, but I still have to do it.
Yes.
Do itself.
Do you do it? And it sounds like a quad bass pedal.
They have one of those.
I'm sure they do.
They do. It's very strange, but whatever. I'm not in a fucking death metal band, so I don't need to know how to play double stroke bass drum, which I'm sure 0 people who listen to this show know what I'm talking about. But I really got to go blow snow.
You do.
Up my nose. Doing cocaine. Not really. I'm kidding.
Wow, you're making way too much money.
Levi,
must be all that sponsorship from your other shows.
Oh, I see none of that. That benefits one person. That person is not me.
Now I hear ads on your other podcast.
My statement stands.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it benefits one person. It's just I haven't seen any of that yet. I know Erica will eventually listen to this. So get at me. Where my money? Sorry. So yeah, you let me know what you want to do at some point between now and the next time we record an episode. And then we'll do that for that episode.
All right, sounds good.
If I can find my mouse, I can stop things. So that'll do it for another episode of the podcast. Here, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Stay scary, Levi.
All right, I'm gonna. I haven't stopped YouTube quite yet. I'm gonna save this quick, since I imagine Levi will say something funny.
Oh God.
Maybe maybe not. He said LOL. That was something funny.
That's it.
There it is. It's just jokes for days, Kraus.
He's just happy to be here when we're live.
We were better planners.
Then we wouldn't be doing the show. It'd be a very different podcast.
Yeah. Podcast of planning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
You're zoomy.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop YouTube now and go blow my snow. So you just let me know what you want to do.
I will.